Iowa Congressman Steve King, a Republican, was the man behind that amendment, and he joins me now. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Megan.
So once and for all, you took a shot at shutting down the funding, our taxpayer money that goes to ACORN, and it's shutting down the U.S. Census Bureau from paying any ACORN workers to go help in the U.S. Census, something that's very important in this country and that helps draw election lines. The Democrats weren't having it. Your reaction?
Well, this process, Nancy Pelosi said in June of 2006, every member has a right to be heard. And now that she's the speaker, it looks like she's going to use that gavel to shut down any criticism of Democrats. They did not want to have a vote on ACORN. They have already opened up the authorization so that ACORN has an opportunity to have access to as much as $8.5 billion of taxpayer funds. They are a Get Out the Vote for Democrats organization, and they've admitted to producing more than 400,000 fraudulent voter registration forms. And now President Obama, a former ACORN employee and is now an employer of ACORN, the Democrats don't want to face that, and they have in an unprecedented fashion shut down debate in this House on appropriation bills and denied my amendments on ACORN.
You know, Congressman, I'm curious because ACORN has had, I mean, it really shouldn't be a partisan thing. I mean, it's obvious. They're under investigation for fraud in at least 14 states. They've had workers plead guilty to fraud in several places. They're two top people in the organization guilty of embezzlement, and on the list goes, right? So I don't see how it's partisan anymore, that ACORN's got some serious problems with the law. So when you talk to your Democratic constituents on the Hill about, look, we may not be able to agree on a lot, but can't we agree that this is not a group that should be getting taxpayer dollars? What do they say to you?
Well, they just avoid the subject. I mean, you can try to pin them down and they'll make some excuses, but they'll maybe shrug their shoulders and walk away. But there are many of them that realize that they are political beneficiaries of ACORN's Get Out the Vote drive. And so there's so much of this migration towards the power base. The public would like to believe that we're having legitimate debates here and you have people with honest integrity, with honest disagreements. That does happen in Congress. I don't want to dispel that, but it's not happening on ACORN. ACORN is part of the power base of Democrats. The president will protect ACORN. When I look at the president, I see the ACORN logo when I look at President Obama. And so they're going to follow their president, they're going to take care of their political base, and they're cynically shut down this process so that in an unprecedented fashion denied amendments so that they are not held accountable for protecting ACORN. And yet Barney Frank, as chairman of the Financial Services Committee, has for years pushed to provide federal funding to ACORN. Now he's the chairman, now he's getting it done, and they don't want Barney Frank held accountable either.
You know, in ACORN's defense, the organization, it's not all bad, right? It does do some good work. Not everybody who works for ACORN is corrupt. The problem is there's enough corruption in the organization that there's serious cause for concern. And there doesn't seem to be any push within the organization to change that. Whenever you talk to their spokesperson, he just defends everything they did and says, oh, a few bad apples, without taking any responsibility for the group's systematic voter registration fraud that we've seen in so many states. When I listen to you talk, Congressman, it sounds so cynical. It sounds so cynical because what you're saying is, oh, the Democrats, they look the other way because it's helping them politically. Is that really what's happening? Is it naive to even question that?
I would never accuse you of being naive, Megan, but I think that it really is exactly what's happening. And they are not going to allow a legitimate investigation. I've called for investigations, congressional hearings and investigations. John Conyers, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, at one time actually advocated for investigations of ACORN.
He did, yeah, Democrat.
And the chairman of the Constitution Subcommittee, Jerry Nadler, opposed it. And now it appears that Jerry Nadler has convinced John Conyers that the stacks of information that we have introduced into the congressional record aren't legitimate enough to deserve a look. While this is going on, the Justice Department needs to look into ACORN too, as does the public. We need full investigations.
Doesn't look likely. But let me ask you this, because I know you've tried repeatedly. Are you going to try again? I mean, is this, you're not faring well against a Democratic Congress, but are you going to keep trying?
I have a trophy on my desk as the most persistent member of the Judiciary Committee and the House of Representatives. Megan, I'm coming back.
Congressman Steve King, come back here, too. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.